You won't believe what happened today at the park. The day started like any other for a man who enjoyed his daily walks there. The sky was clear, kids were playing, and dogs were chasing frisbees. The man was walking along his usual path, taking in the fresh air and enjoying the peaceful sounds of nature around him. As he walked past some bushes, something caught his attention. At first, it was just a small sound, a tiny, high-pitched noise that most people might have missed or ignored, but there was something about it that made him stop in his track. He listened more carefully, and there it was again, a soft meowing coming from under the thick leaves. Curious about what might be making that sound, the man bent down and gently pushed aside some of the leaves. His eyes widened in surprise when he saw a small kitten looking up at him. The tiny creature seemed scared, but also somewhat hopeful, as if it had been waiting for someone to find it. The man's heart instantly melted at the sight. This little kitten was alone. With no mother cat in sight, he reached out slowly, not wanting to frighten the little one. To his surprise, the kitten didn't run away. Instead, it cautiously sniffed his fingers before allowing him to stroke its soft fur. Something about this kitten struck the man as odd. It didn't look like a typical stray. Its fur was clean and it seemed well fed. This kitten had to be someone's pet. But why was it alone in the park? Had someone lost their kitten? Or worse, had someone left it here on purpose? While petting the little one, the man suddenly heard more meowing sounds coming from nearby. He picked up the first kitten carefully and cradled it in his arms while he followed the sound. The kitten seemed to relax in his hold, as if knowing it was now safe. Not far from where he found the first kitten, the man spotted another one playing near some children. This second kitten was more outgoing, running around and batting at dandelion seeds floating in the air. The children were watching with delight, giggling as the playful kitten jumped and pounced. As the man approached with the first kitten still safely in his arms, the second kitten noticed him. What happened next left both the man and the watching children in awe. The kitten stopped playing, walked right up to the man, and then did something amazing. It raised its tiny paw as if offering a handshake. The children gasped and pointed at this clever trick. The man carefully shifted the first kitten to one arm and reached down to shake the offered paw. It was like the kitten was saying, "Hello there, nice to meet you. Can I come home with you too?" The gesture was so human-like and so unexpected that the man couldn't help but smile widely. This confirmed what he had suspected. These kittens had been around people before. They were too friendly and too comfortable with human touch to be wild. Someone had cared for them at some point, but now they were alone in the park with no owner in sight. The man felt a wave of sadness wash over him. How could anyone leave such sweet, innocent creatures all alone in a public park? What if they had been hurt by a larger animal or hit by a bike? What if it rained or got too cold at night? These thoughts made him even more determined to help these little ones. He had some cat treats in his pocket from visiting a friend who owned cats earlier that day. He offered some to both kittens, who eagerly ate them up. Their hungry little bites made him wonder when they had last eaten a proper meal. After the kittens finished their snack, the man had a feeling there might be more of them around. If someone had abandoned two kittens, perhaps there were others. He asked the parents of the children who had been watching the second kitten if they would mind keeping an eye on both kittens for a few minutes while he searched the surrounding area. With their kind agreement, the man began a thorough search of the park. He looked under benches, behind trees, and in every bush he could find. His persistence paid off when he heard more meowing coming from near the park's drinking fountain. There, hiding behind a trash can, was a third kitten, looking nervous and a bit skinnier than the others. The man approached slowly and offered some treats. The third kitten was hesitant at first, but hunger won out over fear, and soon it was eating from his hand. He gently picked it up and added it to his growing collection of rescued kittens. Just when he thought he was done, he heard yet another meow. This one was louder and seemed to be calling for attention. Following the sound, the man discovered a fourth kitten near the park entrance. This one was sitting in plain sight, as if it had given up trying to hide and was now just hoping someone would notice it. The man now had 4 kittens to care for, all found abandoned in different parts of the same park. He gathered them all up with the help of the children and their parents who had been watching the first 2. Someone offered a small box they had in their car, and the man carefully placed all 4 kittens inside it. Everyone in the park who witnessed this rescue mission was touched. Several people came up to the man to praise his kindness and offer help. The man thanked everyone for their help and kindness. As he looked down at the 4 kittens now huddled together in the box, he knew what he needed to do next. These little ones needed to see a vet to make sure they were healthy. The closest veterinary clinic was just a few blocks from the park. The vet, a middle-aged woman with a gentle touch, carefully examined each kitten. She checked their eyes, ears, teeth, and overall condition. The man waited anxiously. hoping that they were all okay. After what seemed like a very long time, the vet came back with some good news. They all appear to be healthy, she told the man with a smile. At home, the man set up a comfortable area in his living room with blankets, food, and water dishes, and a makeshift litter box. He would need to buy proper cat supplies tomorrow, but this would work for tonight. The kittens explored their new environment with endless curiosity. They sniffed every corner, climbed on the furniture, and tested their little claws on the carpet. The man watched them with amusement, already noticing their different personalities emerging. One kitten was clearly the leader, always the first to explore a new area. Another was more cautious, hanging back until it was sure everything was safe. The third was the most playful, pouncing on its siblings and any moving object it could find. And the fourth was the cuddler, already seeking out the man's lap whenever he sat down. As evening approached, the man prepared some of the kitten food the vet had given him. All 4 kittens gathered around the dish, eating hungrily. The kittens' energy seemed to run out all at once. They found a spot on the blanket the man had laid out and curled up together in a pile of fur and tiny paws. Their soft purring filled the room as they drifted off to sleep. The man sat nearby, watching them with wonder. How quickly life can change, he thought. This morning he had been just a man taking a walk in the park. Now he was responsible for 4 little lives. The thought was both terrifying and exciting. He would need to make some adjustments to his life. His apartment would need to be kitten-proofed. He would have to budget for cat food, litter, and vet bills. His morning routine would now include feeding time, and his evenings would involve playtime with 4 energetic kittens. But as he watched them sleep, peaceful and trusting, he knew it was all worth it. These kittens had needed someone, and fate had put him in the right place at the right time. Maybe he had needed them too, in a way he hadn't realized until now. The man yawned, suddenly aware of how tired he was. It had been quite a day, emotional, surprising, and life-changing. Tomorrow would bring new adventures with his unexpected family. But for tonight, everyone was safe and sound. The man gently stroked the kitten's soft fur, feeling the tiny body vibrate with purrs. Such trust from a creature that had been abandoned just hours ago touched him deeply. Outside, the world continued as normal. People went about their evening routines, unaware of the small miracle that had taken place in the park that day. But here, in this apartment, something special had happened. 4 little lives had been saved, and one man's life had been changed forever. The man thought about what to name his new family members. Each kitten deserved a special name that reflected its personality. He would take some time to get to know them better before deciding. For now, they were simply his 4 little rescued wonders. As night fell completely, the man carefully moved the sleeping kitten from his lap back to its siblings. Then he prepared for bed himself, setting his alarm a bit earlier than usual to allow time for feeding his new family in the morning. Before turning in, he took one last look at the 4 sleeping kittens. They had no idea how close they had come to a much different fate. If he hadn't heard that first tiny meow, if he hadn't stopped to investigate, if he hadn't cared enough to search for all of them, but he had, and now they were here, safe and sound. The next few weeks would be an adjustment period for everyone. The kittens would learn about living in a home, using a litter box, and the rules about not climbing the curtains. The man would learn about midnight feeding schedules, the amazing distances cat toys can travel under furniture, and the special joy of being greeted by 4 excited kittens when he returned home from work. There would be challenges, of course. 4 kittens could create quite a lot of mischief when they put their minds to it, but there would also be countless moments of pure joy watching them play, feeling them purr on his lap, seeing them grow from tiny kittens into beautiful adult cats. As he went to sleep, the man smiled to himself. Sometimes the best things in life come from the most unexpected places. Today, those unexpected places had been the bushes, playground, fountain, and entrance of his local park. Tomorrow would be the first full day of their new life together. There would be plenty of time for buying proper cat supplies, setting up feeding schedules, and figuring out the logistics of life with 4 kittens. But for tonight, it was enough to know that 4 little hearts beat safely under his roof, rescued from abandonment to find a loving home. The man fell asleep with a sense of peace and purpose he hadn't felt in a long time. His walk in the park had turned into a rescue mission, and that rescue mission had turned into one of the best decisions he had ever made. Sometimes the smallest sounds, like a tiny meow from under some leaves, can lead to the biggest changes in life. And in the living room, 4 kittens slept soundly, their little chests rising and falling with each breath, their tiny paws occasionally twitching as they dreamed of chasing toys in their new forever home.